Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Midwest Medium Podcast. I'm your host, June Hessler, and today we have special guest, Echo Bodine. Echo is a world-renowned psychic, author, healer, and former Ghostbuster. Her career spans several decades, and she's helped countless people with her psychic abilities. Currently, Echo teaches at the Center in Richfield, Minnesota, and she also co-hosts a podcast called Intuitive Living with Bobby Sullivan and Nikki Hayes. Echo, thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your time.
Oh, honey, it's so sweet of you to ask me. Yes, it's
Of
great.
course. And as I was saying before we started recording, I've been an admirer of your work for a very long time. And it's people like you that, you've helped countless people over many decades of work that you've done. And I'm one of them. So I really do appreciate your time today.
Thank you, honey. Thank you.
So going way back,
Yep.
You first learned of your psychic abilities at age 17 when you and your mother, May, went to a psychic. And it sounds like it was kind of just really thrown at you. She told you that you have the gift of healing, you're clairvoyant, and you are, I believe, clairaudient, where you can hear spirit.
Yep.
Is that right? Okay. So I'm wondering, did that make you question your own belief system when you were kind of just thrown into it all of a sudden?
Oh, honey. Oh, God. Oh, my God. My life changed that night. I was no longer just a senior in high school. Now, it was just laid out to me that actually, she said that I was born with all four of the psychic abilities and with the gift of healing. And I thought, what is this stuff?
Yeah.
What? What? And she said, you're going to be a psychic and a healer and write books and be on radio and TV and what?
Yeah.
Honey, it came from left field, believe me. It was ridiculous. And okay, so the thing that really freaked me out was when she said about the gift of healing. Well, she said two things. She said, your father is at home with a migraine headache.
Right.
Which he was. And, so my head goes, how does she know that? We didn't say anything to her. Okay. And then she says, I want you to go home, take out a couple of your dad's hankies, put them on his head, and then put your hands on top of his hands. On top of his head, and then ask God to work through you. And so I'm like, what? Oh my God, honey. And I said to her, two things. One, I don't have any of this stuff. And two, I don't want any of this stuff. I just want to have a nice, normal life.
Yep.
And she said, you can have a nice, normal life in your next life. This lifetime. And I'm thinking, my next life? Lady, are you
I have to come back? Yeah.
Oh, honey, it would. And then when I go home and I told my dad, who was laying in bed with a migraine headache, I said, can I just try it? And he was funny. He said, just don't hurt my head. And I said, okay. And put my hands on, and honey, they heated up like little heating pads. I didn't even know what. And my mom was standing right next to me. And I said, they're really hot. And then they started to tremble a little bit. And I made them really stiff. And then as soon as I relaxed, they started trembling again. And I thought, oh my God, what the hell? And then they cooled off all by themselves. And my dad said, well, I'll be damned if my headache isn't gone. And honey, I can't even tell you how freaked out I was that night.
You said, your world completely changed.
Yes, it did. And she did say, she told Mom that a teacher would be coming that would teach us how to develop or to recognize our psychic abilities. And it was about any time, I don't know, but it was somewhere between 2 weeks and 6 weeks. This lady calls us out of the blue, introduces herself to us, and said that her spirit guides gave her our names and told her she was supposed to teach us psychic. We're like, what? Who is this woman? What? Oh God, everything changed that night. And we've been on the road ever since.
So now, as I understand it, you do come from a family of psychics. Your brother Michael is a psychic who you would work and do ghost busting with. Your sister Nikki also, I believe, teaches and is a psychic. But I have to ask, even though you had the support of your immediate family, when you first started telling people, I guess I would call it coming out of like the psychic closet,
Yeah.
did people outside of your immediate family treat you differently? Did you lose friends? Did you maybe,
Yes.
I would imagine, made newer and different friends, but how did that change life for you?
Honey, yeah, it changed a lot of friendships. People backed away from me. Oh God, one lady that she was one of my roommates, and she got fired from her job, and her sister, who was a nun, told her that happened because she was living in a house with me. And I said to her, you got to be kidding me, right?
Yeah.
Your sister thinks you lost your job because of me. Yeah. And so she became detached from me. That friendship changed completely. And yeah, honey, people, you know, people have the idea that us psychics can read their mind and want to read their mind.
Right.
And so that's what makes them, they think we can. I have a neighbor who, oh honey, it's so funny because as soon as I come around him, he gets as stiff as a board. And I want to say, look, your secrets are safe with you.
Yeah.
But I think, no, just act normal. Just don't, pretend like you don't notice this. So yeah, I definitely notice. That's why, now when someone says, what do you do for a living? I say, I'm an author. And then people just treat me normal until they say, well, what do you write about? And then I go, well, the spiritual genre.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how do you know about that? Oh, God. So I try, even today, I try not to say the word psychic because people they just don't know how to take it. So yeah, it definitely changed.
So even all these years later,
Yeah.
it's still, I guess, kind of a taboo word, but
Yeah.
people like you, like I said before, people like you are, I consider a trailblazer for
Yeah.
people like me who are so newer into our world's kind of flipping upside down, but in such a beautiful and positive way, but just in a way that not many people understand. So that's the point of why I created this podcast, was to hopefully try to normalize mediumship,
Yep.
normalize paranormal, supernatural. I try to focus on the positive side of the paranormal. I feel like there's so much negative out there.
Yes.
That I try to focus on the good stuff, God, Jesus, the
Yep.
positive things that I've seen and that have come through.
Yes.
Now, that said, I do have to ask you about something I've wondered about for a really long time. And I've never had witnessed it or experienced it myself, but what are your thoughts on ectoplasm?
Honey, I don't think I've ever seen it either.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they used to talk about it back. Okay, so we got into this in 1965, and I remember back then they talked about ectoplasm. But honey, I don't think I've heard that word for years.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder if it's just a myth. I don't know.
I'm trying to think back to. Well, I remember seeing pictures of this white stuff. I don't know, honey. I don't know.
Yeah, it's kind of a mystery for me. I also wanted to ask you about Ouija boards. Now, my belief and what I'm being taught through the spiritual teacher that I work with, and as I mentioned before, she's one of your former students. The belief is stay away from Ouija boards. You can't control what you're letting in. But I'm wondering if maybe you have had different experiences or if you have a different philosophy on those.
I would pretty much agree with her. We okay, so when Mrs. Olson told Mom and I that we were going to be psychics someday, we thought, okay, well, honey, since we didn't know what it even meant, all we knew about psychics was that they burned incense, and
Yeah.
so we went and bought like $100 worth of incense, and then we bought a Ouija board because we thought, well, how are we going to communicate with spirit if we don't have a Ouija board? So the problem was that we got addicted to the board. I mean, oh my God, honey, we wouldn't, any decision that had to be made, we quick run to the Ouija board, oh, should we do this? Should we get what it? And, but in the beginning, it started out really positive, saying, oh, positive things. And then it started to get kind of creepy, and Echo, you're gonna die in a car accident, and
Oh, geez.
yeah, and your house is gonna be on fire, and okay, what? And one thing our teacher Bertie said is, don't get a Ouija board. So we didn't tell her that we had the Ouija board. All right.
Uh-huh.
So one night we were all sitting at dinner, and we heard, all of us, even my unpsychic dad, heard this, Echo, come here. And
Oh boy.
what? And it did it again. And, I'm looking at mom's looking at dad. So we called our teacher, and she said, you have a Ouija board. Yeah, we do. And it's in Echo's closet. Yes, it is. Okay, you have to go and get that thing and burn it in the fireplace, because she said spirits have attached themselves to the board.
Yeah.
Gross. And so, okay, but the problem was that we had become so addicted to this thing. It was like our best friend. So we thought, gosh, it's really hard to burn it in the fireplace. So we decided, okay, we'll put it in the garbage. So we put it in the garbage, which was, honey, it was a long driveway. And so we put it way down at the end of the driveway in the garbage. And the next morning when we got up and came downstairs, it was sitting on the kitchen table.
No.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
no.
So we burned it in the
yeah.
What, honey? A lot of the stuff that have been going on around the house, these banging on the walls, and we constantly heard typewriters and weird sounds, all that stopped when we burned the Ouija board. So it was a good thing.
That's interesting. Yeah. I'm glad you were finally able to get rid of it. Yeah. It's something I've never experimented with one. And since I've been learning more about my journey, my mediumship, and my psychic abilities, I've learned, don't touch it. So,
yeah.
But it sounds like you initially had an interesting experience with it because it was so positive, but perhaps that is the negative entities wanting you to trust the board, wanting you to trust the process, and then basically you're being tricked.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what it was, honey. Yeah.
So with all of your readings that you've given people, especially the ghost busting that you've done, what have you done to protect yourself from the negative energies, the negative entities? Do you have some sort of, do you have special meditations that you do? Do you do certain rituals? How do you keep yourself protected from the negative?
Honey, I think, that's a good question. And I never really thought about it before, because Michael and I, we never had any kind of rituals. Our guides are the ones that taught us how to do these jobs.
Sure.
Hmm,
So maybe it's that you've always had this natural protection that your guides and
could
angels
be.
have given you, and maybe it's something you didn't need to work on,
Yeah,
which
could
I
be.
suppose is absolutely possible. I've learned for me that I do need to work on protection actively. So I work with Archangel Michael.
Okay.
And I tell people when they ask me that, you know, that's what I do, but I wasn't sure if there was anything that you needed to do, but because you were activated at such a young age, to me, it would make sense that it's something that you really didn't need to work on since everything was kind of thrown at you all of a sudden.
Yeah. You know, honey, I think part of it is because both Michael and I can see spirit and hear spirit. You know, when we go into these houses and find the ghosts, you know, we just talk to them because they are souls of people who had lived. So
Yes,
we just talk to them and ask them, you know, what is your name and why are you here? What's the deal? And then when we send them into the light, I mean, we don't leave until we see them go into the light. And that's when we burn either, well, for years it was sage, and now Michael burns Palo Santo because he still does some of this work. But I, hmm, you know, honey, there's been times I've been afraid of some of these ghosts,
yeah,
and I usually just ask God to protect me, just keep me
Mhm.
safe. And yeah, I, yeah. But you know, honey, I'll like sometimes when things just feel creepy or icky, I'll burn some, you know, sweetgrass or some Palo Santo, and just ask God to please clear me of anything negative. And that
Clear it
usually,
out.
yeah, that
Yeah,
usually works.
yeah. So that leads me to ask, why did you decide to give up ghost busting? So part of me wants to assume that you've busted all the ghosts, but I know that there's so many out there that might be impossible, but why did you decide to give it up?
You know, honey, I just got burned out. It's kind of like ghost counseling, not ghost busting. And you have to
Sure.
work with these folks. And God, after a while, it's like enough. And my brother, you know, he's had it up to here with them, but you know, people call him with these really sad stories. And so he's like, yeah, okay, well, I'll do one more, and then he'll go out and do it. But that's it, honey. I just got tired of it. It's like
Yeah.
ah,
It was time
and
to move on.
yes. So yeah,
Yeah.
I was tired of being tired of them. And they're, you know, come on, folks, deal with your stuff and move on. And so that's why. That's
Yeah. That makes sense. Yeah, especially for having done it for so many years. I think that absolutely makes sense. Now,
yeah,
Echo,
we did it for about 30 years together. And
oh
that's a
wow.
long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of ghosts.
Yes. And one thing I can tell everyone that's listening to this is if you've got one ghost, you've got more ghosts. Because I don't think,
Yes.
honey, I don't think I've ever been to a house that only had one ghost. So
Yeah, they're everywhere. I believe
yeah,
that.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Now, Echo, you've been very open and candid about your struggle in life with alcoholism and the depression that you fell into all these years ago. You've been very open about that. And congratulations, you've been sober now for many, many years. And I think that's so wonderful.
Thank you,
And
honey.
I'm wondering, how has that experience, or I don't know if it has or hasn't, but has that experience affected how you um how you read for people, how you would do ghost busting, how you write your books? How has that experience affected your healing, your psychic work?
Honey, I think it's been a positive influence. All of that, boy, those days were rough. But it gave me compassion. So when I have
Yeah,
a client that has alcoholism or depression, um, oh God, it I you know, I'm grateful for all of it, even though I hope to never go through it again. I'm really grateful
yeah,
because when somebody comes, I don't sit in judgment. I understand it. And so I just do, well, actually, I mean, with anybody that I'm reading, I always ask the guides for guidance with what to say to them. So it's been, honey, I think it's been really good. I think it's been really good.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
compassionate. Yeah.
That's so wonderful. So it's almost like I try to believe that even if the negative things happen, even with experiences with negative ghosts or entities, there's got to be a positive to it at some
Yeah.
point. Something good needs to come from it.
Yeah.
And it really sounds as though, even though it was a hard time in your life, you were able to somehow still make a positive out of that in serving others. That's so important.
Yes. Yes.
That's wonderful.
Yes. Honey, when I sobered up, I thought, okay, so I joined AA and I thought, okay, now I'm making new friends. And so I'm not going to tell them. I'm going to keep this to myself. Okay. My big secret, I'm psychic. And I said to God, okay, I don't want to tell anybody in my new life that I have these abilities. Okay. And so the first year of my sobriety, I was hardly psychic at all. It felt like it got shut off. And I think it was shut off so that I could concentrate on getting sober instead of running into this ghost and that ghost and doing this and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
So right after my 1 year anniversary, God, it was funny, honey. So I'm still adamantly, none of my new friends are going to know this stuff. Okay. And I went out to dinner with this lady one night who we were slowly becoming friends. And so we were at this cafeteria in line, and I just look up and there's a spirit, and I thought, oh no, uh-oh. I look around, no, nobody's looking at the guy. And he says to me, you have to tell her 3 things. And I mental telepathy, I said, go away. I'm not gonna do it.
Yeah.
And so we moved down the cafeteria line, and he says, but you have to tell her 3 things. Send him a message, go away, I'm not gonna do this. And so he disappeared. Oh, whew, okay. And then we go to a table, and there he's sitting at the table, the spirit. And he
Oh no.
says, you have to tell her 3 things. And so I just tried to pretend that he wasn't there. And he said it one more time. I said, okay. So I said, okay, her name was Diane. And I said, Diane, I have to tell you something. I said, I have psychic abilities. Honey, I couldn't even look at her. I was so nervous. And I'm looking down. Well, I have psychic abilities, and there's a spirit here, and he wants me to tell you 3 things. Well, of course, she didn't respond. And so I said, okay, well, here we go. And so then he tells me the 3 things. And then he disappears. And so I look up at her, and she's just in shock. And she said, Echo, I'm having a really hard time with the God part of this program. I just don't know if God's real. She says, so this morning I said to God, okay, if you can answer 3 questions for me, then I'll believe in you. And she said, you just answered the 3 questions.
Oh,
and,
wow.
Honey,
That's beautiful.
I know, but the whole experience. And after that, she kept her distance from me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, it had to have changed her life. It had to, we didn't become friends after that. But after that, it started. And God, honey, then it was like a week later, I think, there was a knock at my door. I go to the door, and there's this guy standing there, and he's got his eyes closed. And he said, I've had a really bad migraine for 2 days, and I prayed about it. And God said, I'm supposed to come here. And I thought, oh, shit. So I said, okay, okay, if I get rid of your headache, promise me you won't tell anybody. And he said, I won't tell anybody. Okay, so I said, lay down on the couch, and I had a date coming to pick me up for a date. Okay, so I said, I don't have a lot of time. Okay, here, and I put the hankies on his head, put my hands on. Okay, and I said, there, just lay there. I have to finish getting ready. Okay, and so I was in the bathroom putting on my makeup, and there was this little knock on the bathroom door. Okay, well, my headache's gone. Thank you. I'll leave. And he left, and we never discussed it. That when I'd see him at meetings, never discussed it. And he didn't tell anybody, which was great. So I slowly came out of the closet with AA friends. Yeah.
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 I love how you tried to put parameters around when you'll tell people, when you won't, and you can't do that, Echo. You can't do that. It's not up to us. So, but I think that's such a great story with your friend Diane, and how she asked those questions. She needed proof, and God granted that proof, and you were the messenger.
Yep.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. I do have one more ghost question that I want to ask you. Now, from your experience, if there's somebody who is experiencing ghosts in their home, what recommendations would you give to them? Is it strictly call someone who clears ghosts, or are there things that they can do on their own
Yes.
to try to clear out their house?
Honey, they, oh yes, they can get really, really serious and not afraid, and tell that ghost to leave and go to the light. And you can ask your guides to please take them on to the other side. You can ask, you might ask Michael, Archangel Michael. People, these ghosts are, that's what people have to realize, is that they're people. They're not monsters. They're not demons. They're people, and they're stuck. And, they just have to, think of it this way. So if someone walked in your house someday with their bags packed, they set their bags down and say, well, I'm going to live here now. Would you put up with it? A complete stranger? No.
Right. Yep.
So that's how we have to treat ghosts is, no, you're not allowed to stay here. You weren't invited. I don't know you. I want you to leave. I would prefer that you go to the light, but if you don't want to, that's fine, but I want you to leave my house now. And they have to sound firm instead of, oh, please leave. It's like, if they act scared and wimpy, the ghost is going to see that. The ghost.
Yeah.
And the thing about these ghosts is they're young souls. So,
ignoring it doesn't help either.
No, honey, it doesn't. Because see, that's how a house will get more ghosts, is if people, oh, well, no, I don't want to upset the ghost. Okay, so there's a ghost living there. Well, along comes other ghosts, and they're looking for a house with other ghosts in it. And so, oh, there, look at June's house. Oh, there's some ghosts in there. Okay, let's go over there. Okay, so they go in and they pick out their spot, and they stay in that spot, which I think is so interesting. They don't roam around the house. They don't talk to each other. They just like knowing that there's other spirits in the house. And so that's how a house attracts more and more. It's that simple, honey. So people have to put their foot down. If they're not able to do that, that's when you call in a reputable Ghostbuster.
Sure.
And I say reputable because there's a lot of people out there charging a lot of money to get rid of a ghost. And that is ridiculous.
It's taking advantage.
Yeah, they are. And some of these Ghostbusters, they don't even see a ghost. They don't know what a ghost even looks like. They they go in with an attitude of, oh, we got to get rid of these demons. And it drives me nuts because the general public doesn't know what to think about ghosts. And so because of the shows on TV, they tend to think ghosts are demonic, evil, scary. They're going to hurt them. It just sets the whole thing up. So
Yeah.
if people are looking for a good, reputable Ghostbuster, well, I don't know. It's tough, honey. It's tough to find.
There's definitely some out there. And I know on your website, echobodine.com, you have practitioner referrals. So that might be a good place for someone to look if they were interested in finding a reputable person to come and clear out some ghosts. But you're right. That was actually a question I had here on my list for you, is I was wondering what your thoughts were on these ghost hunting shows. I have to admit, I've definitely watched plenty of episodes. My daughter Olive, she's 15 and she likes to watch, so we'll watch some together.
Yeah.
And I'll talk to her and say, okay, this is what I believe they're doing wrong, or what I believe they could do differently. So I try to treat it as an education tool.
Good.
But it is so focused on the negative, and it sounds like it drives me crazy. It drives you crazy because it's just not that way, at least not in all circumstances.
Honey, I can't even tell you how many times I've done stuff for TV crews, and they'll say things. I remember this one house in particular in Long Island. They wanted me, okay, so this is how the producer is. Okay, so Echo, would you say that this is the most haunted house you've ever been to? Well, I wouldn't say it's the most haunted house. So then they cut out that part and they put in me saying, this is the most haunted house I've ever seen. Okay.
They want the soundbite.
Yeah, they do. And I've seen them manipulate stuff so much, and
yeah,
it's terrible. Oh God. But you know what, honey? I have an announcement to make. I am going to have my own TV show on, it's going to be on the internet, on Spotify, Amazon Fire. Oh God, honey, there's so many different, I don't even remember all the names of it. But I'm getting all the equipment this Sunday, and then we're going to start, and I'm going to blow the holes in all of this stuff, all of it, and have on good experts. And we're going to really talk about, I won't be, what's that word, honey? Censored in what I'm saying. I'm going to be able to be open and honest about all of this. And
Echo, that's wonderful. Congratulations. I love that
you.
you're pursuing that, and that you found a platform, or it sounds like multiple platforms for people to tune in. I think that's really great. And if they're not going to censor you, and you can just be open and honest and tell it like it is, that's what we need.
Yes, this production company, they just told me the other day that they like with Amazon Fire, they have to approve of their show ideas. And he just said the other day, as soon as we presented you to them, they said, yeah, we want that. So it's going to be good, honey. It's called Bold Brave TV Productions, and they have 150 million subscribers to their shows. So honey, I'm going to go for it. I mean, God, I'm going to be 75 in September. Time is passing, so I'm gonna make it happen, and just be, like I said, I'm going to blow holes in all this stuff, and really talk about all of it, and talk about how to live intuitively, what are psychic abilities, what are mediums. Honey, every area I'm going to talk about. It's going to be good.
That's wonderful. Maybe you'll be willing to come back on once you're in production
Yes,
and
of
we can
course,
talk
of
more about that. That'd be
of
wonderful. Thank
course.
you for sharing that. I'll have to tune in. I'm excited for that. That sounds like a really great project.
I know, honey, I know. I'm
Yeah,
really
that's
excited.
amazing.
Oh, honey, you just had a orb shoot in your room.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'll have to watch that back. So
Wow.
switching gears a little bit,
Yep.
one thing I've been exploring is animal communication. When I do mediumship readings, pets come through very often.
Yep.
Now, have you explored animal communication? And another question with that is, do you believe animals will come back and reincarnate as human souls?
You know, honey, when I first heard that idea, oh God, that had to be 50 years ago. I thought, what? That's goofy. But I have actually seen it now in readings where I remember doing a reading for a lady and I saw that she had been an elephant in a
Oh,
past.
wow.
And I was just, what? And I mean, honestly, honey, I checked with the guides before I even said it. It was like, okay, was she an elephant? Yeah, she was. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And so when I told her that, she said, Echo, I have elephant statues all over my house. I'm obsessed with elephants. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, honey, yes. Now I really believe it that human souls will go into animal bodies to experience it. What does it feel like to be a dog? What does it feel like to be a cat? What does it feel like to be a monkey?
Sure.
You know, and once I got past my judgment about it, that can't happen. It's like, well, wait a minute. Of course it can, because our soul is energy. So it's energy, and it's going into, and honey, really, don't you think throughout our lifetime that we've been around a dog or a cat that just seems like they're a human being?
Oh, yeah. There's a strong connection. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So, and you know, okay, the thing I toss around in my mind, and I think it's true, that animals can reincarnate back into different kinds of animals
Mm-hmm.
also.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, you've had a few orbs flying through your room there. So
I love that.
yeah, so you'll definitely want to check it out.
I will.
Yeah.
Well, and my thought too with that is we're all souls, whether right now we're a human soul or a dog soul or a cat soul. And we put our cat down last May, unfortunately, and that was really, really hard. And he's visited me so many times since his passing. And it's like there's absolutely a connection. So why wouldn't I maybe come back as a cat next time? Or maybe he would come back as a dog, or I don't know what, but
Yeah.
I just find it so fascinating.
I know, honey. You know, I wondered, and I still wonder. I don't know if you remember that. I think he was a football player, maybe, and he was really abusive to dogs. I think he.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're
Remember
talking
that
about.
deal?
Yeah,
And I wondered from time to time. I wonder if he'll come back as a dog and have that experience.
it's certainly possible. I mean, I absolutely believe in karma. I'm sure you do too, but
Yep.
both positive and negative karma.
Yep.
And so it's certainly possible.
I know, honey. I know.
Yeah, that's fascinating. And then when it comes to animal abuse, it's horrific and awful.
I know. I know.
Hopefully I don't know, I was going to say, hopefully there's a solution to all of that, but I don't even know what that would be, but it's definitely awful.
I know. And we all have to learn compassion.
Yes.
For all things. So I think that, if anybody is listening to this today and you abuse your dog or your cat or your gerbil, you're making some bad karma for yourself.
100%.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Just stop it. Go get some help for yourself instead of taking it out on your animals, because that's awful.
Yeah.
Just drives
Yep.
me nuts.
I agree 100%.
No.
Now, you have taught a lot about following your intuition, the still small voice within, which I really appreciated and have learned to tune in on more since I've learned about you. And so it's something that I really appreciate you talking about and normalizing.
Yeah.
With that, what would you say is your favorite healing or psychic ability, or do you even have a favorite? Is there something that you really prefer over your other abilities?
Not really, I don't think, honey. I now I embrace all of them, and they're just me. And
Yeah.
I love the healing stuff because it's interesting, honey. I've noticed as the older I get and the more committed I am to this path, people are getting healed pretty quickly. Even just, June, sometimes I'm at the grocery store and my intuition will just, what? And I'll look and like that. And so I know, so I'll walk by someone and I'll put my hand on their back and say, oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to bump into you. And I can feel it comes out really fast. And then I go on my way, don't say a word. And I love it because I'm not overstepping boundaries. I am listening to the guidance within me. I don't go looking for people at the grocery store, believe me, or in public, but it happens a lot. And that's fun for me when it happens.
Yeah.
I love that. What I love is my students really getting it when I talk about their intuition, what it is, and that it guides them. That gives me just a lot of happiness inside when they come back to class. I do all my classes on Zoom now because I can reach more people, around the world, not just here in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
And when they start getting it, when they go, oh my God, my intuition, I know what it is. I can feel it. I can sense it. I can hear it. And it just seems like when people learn what their intuition is and they really start hearing it and trusting it, it's like they have a new freedom now, but something changes in them. And that's what I love is they're no longer reliant on their mind to figure everything out, but now they're acknowledging the God part of themselves, and they go to that for guidance, and they realize they're not alone on this journey, and that they can get the help they need, and that their intuition never lies to them. And I love that when it just is, what I mean. It just,
Yeah. It's a new way of living life.
Yeah.
Like you said, instead of going here, you're going here.
Yep.
And like you said, it never lies. We all have that gut instinct and then if we ignore it and it happens anyway, it's like, oh shoot, I ignored it. I could have prevented maybe this somewhat awful thing from happening if I had just listened to my gut or listened to my intuition.
Yeah. I mean, honey, all of us, everybody that's listening to your podcast, I think of all the times, folks, when you said, oh, I knew I was supposed to do that. I knew that was going to happen.
Yeah.
And, my son and I have these conversations about why do we resist it? Like he said that he was on his way out to work one morning, and he said he just knew something said sweatshirt, and he thought, no, it's going to be warm today, sweatshirt. And he said, why do I resist it? Why didn't I just go get the sweatshirt instead of, no, that doesn't make sense. Well, the thing about intuition is it never says anything to us that doesn't make sense. I mean, no, let me say that differently, because a lot of times when intuition talks to us, it doesn't make sense on an intellectual level. Well, why would
Right.
it do that? But then as time passes, we realize, oh man, we were being guided to do something for our own health and happiness and goodness. And
It never steers us wrong.
no, it doesn't, honey. It
Mhm.
doesn't. But us humans, and I think that's the biggest part is, honey, how we always want to know, well, why should I get a sweatshirt? Well, just explain to me why you want me to get a sweatshirt, and then I'll go get the sweatshirt. It doesn't do that. It just
No,
says,
it's
sweatshirt.
just go get
Sweatshirt.
the sweatshirt.
Yeah, sweatshirt.
Yeah.
Well, why? Just sweatshirt.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
before we met today, I was in meditation and I asked my guides, my spirit team, if they had anything they wanted me to ask you. And one thing that came through was, I am supposed to ask you, what are your thoughts on forgiveness?
What are your thoughts? What are my thoughts on forgiveness? Well, honey, in the 12-step program, one of the steps is to make amends to people that we have hurt and to concentrate on our part of whatever happened. And I think that is extremely important, to make amends to people that we have hurt. Stop focusing so much on what others have done to us, but what can we do about the hurt that we cause others? And forgiveness. One of the things my guide said to me one time is, he said, you humans can't judge yourselves until you remember every past life you've ever had. And he said, all you see is a little portion of something. You never see the bigger picture. And he said, a lot of times people will carry this pain with them to the other side. And when we're able to see the bigger picture, that helps us with forgiveness. Oh, that's why that happened. Oh, I see. And so if we could do that before we die and just say, okay, there was a reason that happened. And if we can look at the experience as, what is all the good that came out of that experience for me, then that helps us forgive people also. So it's not just a simple thing. It's about, first of all, taking care of our own stuff, pain we caused others, and then not holding on. Oh, and I know people hold on. Oh God, they hold on to pain. That's what a lot of these ghosts are about. They're holding on to pain that others did to them. And we have, okay, yeah, a story just came to my mind of a friend of mine a long time ago. I was in a friendship with someone, and they just did a 360 and completely changed and broke my heart. I just didn't even think that would ever happen with that person. And I cried a lot, I journaled a lot, because that pain brought up other pain. So I called this friend of mine, and she said, Echo, send her a thank you card. And I said, for what? And she said, because she opened a door to your healing. And now you're going to heal from other things that have happened in your life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She said, so as painful as it is, send her a thank you note. And so honey, I did. I went and I got a nice thank you card, and I wrote it all out. And that at some point, I hoped to see it from a much higher perspective and all that I'm going to learn from this. Thank you very much. And I didn't mail it. I actually threw it in the mail. I mean, in the garbage, because I had done my part. And really, doing that really severed that pain that was just lingering. So that helped a lot for all of us to send a thank you note to the people. I mean, and I remember my friend said, Echo, you can mail it to her or you can throw it away, because this is about healing your pain, not her pain.
Right.
And
right.
so those are my thoughts on forgiveness, honey. We have to work on it. But
That's beautiful.
I really, oh God, I encourage everybody that's carrying around pain that we say, she hurt me, he hurt me, I'll never recover from it. Oh yes, you will, but you have to allow yourself to, and you have to take some steps to allow yourself to do that. So go get a thank you note and start writing. And
forgiveness is work.
Yeah, it is, honey.
Yeah.
And again, like they always say, so you're walking around with resentment towards that person. Is it hurting them at all? No.
Right.
Okay. And take a look at who it's hurting and make an effort to get it out of your body, out of your mind, out of your soul. Send a thank you note. See all the good that's going to come out of that pain.
Those are wise words, easier said than done, but I think that's a great imprint to leave with people. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, good, honey.
Now, speaking of healing, tell us about your Healing Pen Pal program. Oh,
honey, it's so cool. I mean, come on. So, all right, there's a thing called absentee healing. So, God. So what the healer does, so people send us requests for healing. And so what the healer does, then I'll assign a healer to this person. And okay, so let's say that June sends a request and says, hi, I live in Minnesota, Minneapolis, Minnesota, and I've got a really bad knee. Would you please send healing? Okay, so then I take that email, I send it to a healer. We've got 72 healers in the program. I send it to the healer, and the healer twice a day just sits down and visualizes sending healing to that person's, sending healing to June's knee. And they do it randomly, honey, when they just get this nudge, now is a good time to do it. We keep it really simple. We don't have the person connect with their healer, because we did in the past, and then we saw a lot of people became very, very dependent on their healer for everything, and it was really burning out the healers. So we just keep it simple. I would send you thing and say, June, I've how do I say it? Isn't that funny? I've got a healer for you. Her name is Nancy, and she will be sending you healing twice every day for 14 days. And if you need more healing after that, please let us know. So what I need from the person is their name, their city and state that they live in, and what is wrong. And that's it, honey. Again, we keep it really simple. And now, honey, we've gotten the program has gotten so busy that I had to ask one of my healers. I just said, can anybody help me with this? Because I'm overwhelmed. And so Tracy, now she stepped up and said, yes, I'll take care of it. And so I just shoot everything over to Tracy now. And the program is free. We don't charge anybody. And, we get great. And like I say to people, the program is free. All we ask is that you let us know how you're doing and if you need more. And I would say 80% of people never get back to us, and 20% do. And, it's usually really positive comments. So I don't know we never know what happened to these other people, but we just keep doing it. And honey, we've been doing this forever. It seems like forever. And they just have to send an email to bodine.echo@gmail.com. And I shoot it all over to Tracy. It's really
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful. And I love that you have healers that volunteer, that it's a free program
No.
available to literally anybody who
Yes.
wants to try it.
Yes. And honey, you know, what's cool is that it's gotten, I mean, oh my gosh, we get requests from all around the world. It blows my mind. We get a lot from Pakistan. We get a lot from New Zealand, Australia, India. India is where we get most of our requests from, which is
Oh,
so
that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and a lot, of course, from the United States. But yeah, it's really cool.
That's wonderful. So I know people can find more information on what you're doing, the classes that you're offering, the Healing Pen Pal program at echobodine.com.
Yes.
Do you have social media? I believe I've seen you on Facebook. I don't know how active you are on it, but do you have any other ways that people can follow what you're doing?
Well, I've got 2 Facebook pages. One is Echo Lee Bodine, and the other one is Echo Bodine. The Echo Bodine one is, I think, more for business, because that one's unlimited. How else can people know? The same with intuitive living with Bobby. I've cut back on that just because I've gotten so busy since we opened the new center in February. And now soon I'm going to switch gears and work on this TV show. So right now, June, I'm kind of getting all these helpers in line so that
Yeah.
they can take things over and I can concentrate on the TV show.
So it sounds like maybe the best way for people to follow what you're doing is really to go to your website.
Yeah.
And I'll make sure to put that in the show notes for people too.
All right, sweetheart. And the other place is, yeah, Facebook. I do Facebook. I'm pretty good at keeping up with that, and especially the Echo Lee Bodine page. That's the one I go to a lot, and then I shoot that information over to Echo Bodine page. I don't think, I'm not very good at. I don't know how to do Instagram. I think I have an account. Someone set it up for me, but I don't know how to do it, so I don't do that. I'm on LinkedIn, but I never do anything with that. I'm not good at this, honey. I just do my work,
Hey, the right people will find you. I believe that for sure. Yeah. So I do know that you will be at the Enchanted Expo with a Twist of Curiosity in Shoreview on June 3rd.
Thank you, honey. Yes.
I did my homework.
Thank you. Boy, did you ever. Good one, girl.
And by the way, I'm going to be there. I'm going to try to find you so we can meet in person. But I believe you'll be speaking at that event. Is that right?
Yes. At some ungodly morning time, 10:15 or something. I said to her, "Really? You got me at 10:15?" So, yes, I will be there sometime in the morning. I don't know if she changed it or not, but I'll be there. Yep.
Wonderful. Well, I'll try to find you so we can meet in person.
Honey, can I mention the Orapalooza?
Please, yeah.
Okay, the 3rd Saturday of every month, I have what we call an Orapalooza, and I've got 31 vendors, really good people with integrity. Oh gosh, just wonderful people, wonderful vendors. And I'm located in the Hub Shopping Center in Richfield. There's no fee to get in, and I always have food there for people. And I've got popcorn. I always make popcorn for everybody. It's just a really fun day to come and meet other people of like mind and get readings, not get readings, get healings. They don't have to do anything if they don't want. Some people come and just sit in the kitchen and talk with other people. So it's a really nice event. I've had it going every time I have a center. I always do the third Saturday of every month, and it's open to everybody. So again, I'm in the Hub Shopping Center. The address is 8 West 66, but let me just say I'm right in between Walgreens and the China Garden, because there's a lot of stores in the Hub Shop. So
I'll also make sure to add that in the show notes, and I'll include the address as
okay,
well.
thanks, honey. And
Of course.
Bonnie Gurney, who has Enchanted Boutique, she is in the front of my building, and then all my stuff is in the second half of the building. So we're in there together. It
Okay.
works out really well.
Well, it sounds like, Echo, you've created such an amazing community for like-minded people here in Minnesota. And
Thank you, honey.
I know I speak for many when I say that it is so needed. It is so appreciated,
It is.
along with your teachings. I love that you have a television show coming out. I can't wait to check that out.
No,
And
I know.
it's truly been a pleasure to meet you, Echo. Thank you
Thank
for
you, honey.
agreeing to come on the podcast.
Thank you.
And like I said, I'm going to come find you at the Shoreview
Good.
Community Center and
Good.
get my
Good.
selfie.
Yeah, let's do that. Okay.
Yeah, I would love
Okay.
that. I would
Okay,
really,
cool.
really love that.
Cool.
Thank
Okay.
you so much, Echo.
Oh, honey, you're so welcome. Thank you. Thank you.
Of course.
See you soon.
All right.
Bye, honey.
Bye. Thank you.